Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the Marvel fan site that'll have plot synopsis and character bios for the issue we're about to go through. So we are continuing our run through X-Men. I choose to use classic X-Men until I think 45 or so, where the last backup story is. After that, there are no more backup stories, and we'll just go straight through X-Men. Classic X-Men is how I discovered the X-Men, um, and even back then, I was in let's see, in 1988 would have been probably my final year of middle school, ready to go into high school. So this is how I discovered X Men. I started reading X Men around the Mutant Massacre, and it's actually about the time that Classic X Men came out, so it was perfect. And this is how I discovered all these great stories of John Byrne and Chris Claremont. I had no idea of any of that stuff, so we didn't have internet. We didn't have any of that stuff. I just um, found out about all these things as these issues were coming out. So, Classic X Men was cover to cover, and we get our new cover artist, Steve Lytle. Rest in peace. Um, he becomes the new cover artist going forward. Great here of Mastermind holding Phoenix. And so, Classic X Men covers number 125, The Dramatic Return of Phoenix. Great cover here by Byrne. I believe it's Byrne. It could be Cockrum. So, I love the screen tones being used here. So we're about to go into Proteus. Proteus? I've really forgot. I Is it Proteus? And so we get our frontispiece here. And so Claremont and Byrne uh, do the main story, and then Nocenti with John Bolton do the backup story. I think Chris Claremont may have stopped writing those backups. So, and then we got Steve Lytle also doing the frontispiece here. So, and so we get our main story here. Chris Claremont is credited as sole writer here, with John Byrne and Terry Austin doing the art. So John Byrne did not plot this issue, apparently. So there's something awful on Muir Island. Is it Muir? Moore? I really don't know. So here's Jean Grey, and she's being studied by Moira McTaggart in probably her version of the Danger Room. And so Chris Claremont gives a little exposition. That's all right. We don't need it. She's just now the Phoenix, from Marvel Girl to the Phoenix. And so this is Moira McTaggart, of course. Love the glasses here. She, after Xavier, is the world's authority on genetic mutation. Of course, she has been retconned, but we're not gonna deal with that. That is, if you follow X Men now, you know the deal. Right now, we're dealing with what we're dealing here. No way Chris Claremont would have allowed all this junk that's happening to the X Men to happen. So we're gonna pretend that what's going on now does not exist. So not only does she not scare easily, it says here, but today she's looking at the woman she's come to love as the daughter she can never dare have. Moira McTaggart is afraid. And so Phoenix says, "How much longer, Moira? I hate to say it, but this is getting to be a real drag." And Moira says, "You can power down, Jean. I think I've got all the raw data I need. How do you feel?" And Phoenix says, "Fine." And Moira asks, "Not tired?" "No, using my power doesn't tire me as quickly as it used to. If anything, it makes me feel good." "Good enough to want to use it again?" asks Moira. And so Phoenix asks, "What are you driving at, Moira? You've been poking at me for over a week. You must have some answers." And so Moira says, "Jean, I'm just barely figuring out the questions. I'm not a child anymore, Moira. Level with me, please." And Moira says, "I would if I could. Come on, I'll brew us some tea." So, of course, we see this figure behind them. So, it says, "Unseen by either woman, light glances off something that had once been a man. His name was Angus MacWorster, and he was a most unpleasant man when he was alive." And he's going, "I hunger, but I must wait. Moira must not know." Meanwhile, unaware of the nightmare stalking them. And so Moira goes and to Jean and says, "There's no comparison between Marvel Girl and Phoenix. Your psi powers have made a quantum leap." And Jean says, "But you're worried about whether I can handle it." "Well, I'm worried too," she says. "Sometimes I almost wish I'd stayed dead on that shuttle." And so we get a synopsis or a quick recap of her origin, which we won't cover because I do have a playlist, so I've covered all this. And so we've covered this stuff here. And basically now we are at the X Mansion. So like I said, we have covered all this. So all right. The X-Men are in the danger room practicing. The X-Men are always in the danger room practicing. So it looks like Chris Claremont uses the danger room as filler. She will eventually stop, or sorry, he will eventually stop doing this. But the last two things we covered, the X-Men annual and now this, they're just honing their powers. Maybe because they're still a newer team. So I don't know whether or not they were always. I've never read the original X-Men stuff. I have the Epic collection. I just kind of glances at it, but I've never really read them. So I don't know whether or not the X-Men were always in the danger room. But Chris Claremont sure loves to put him in a danger room. So Cyclops says, "Colossus, you have to get from under that hydraulic ram before it crushes you. You better hurry, though its force will double every 15 seconds." And Wolverine asks, "Do you need a hand, Peter?" Or Petey. And Colossus says, "Thank you, little comrade, but no, this test is intended for me alone." And he says, "We're supposed to be a team, right? That means we help each other out. Let's see how well Psyche's toy works when I've scragged their power." And suddenly he's hit by high pressure water. And he says, "Sorry, Wolverine. Better luck next time." And Nightcrawler says, "Enjoy your shower, my friend. Don't laugh, Crawler. Your turn will come." So, and it says here, almost as if on cue, "The wall. You won't catch me so easily, Cyclops." And then he teleports here and says, "Not when I can simply teleport myself out of harm's way." And Cyclops says, "True enough, Nightcrawler, but suppose you can't." And then he's hit with sonic beams that he can't block him out, and it disrupts his concentration, so he can't teleport. "All right, Banshee, turn everything off." And he goes, "Pathetic people, really pathetic. You either react to the danger room or you treat it like a joke. For your information, Wolverine, you and Nightcrawler are both dead, and you didn't help Colossus a bit. If I'm dead, how come I'm breathing?" And Wolverine and Cyclops says, "If this were the real thing," and of course we're kind of back to Cyclops and Wolverine. fighting. But it ain't the real thing. That's the point. It's a flaming game. I got news for you, Summers. Wolverine don't jump through hoops for nobody. I've handled myself fine when I was on my own. I can do it again. And he calls out back for Wolverine. And Wolvie goes, I need a brew. You want me, Summers? You know where to find me. And Cyclops says, one of these days, Ororo. His manner is occasionally irritating. And he says, ha, you're all such strong and strong-willed individuals. I doubt you'll ever mesh as effectively as the original X-Men. I'm not even sure that's a desirable goal anymore. But we've got to be better than we are. We're good, but we've also been real lucky, and our luck can't last forever, says Cyclops. And so we get an interlude, and we're in Asteroid M, of course, the home of Magneto. This is a beautiful panel. Just love the kind of the sun peaking or starting to peak. So I wonder what reference John Byrne used because and Terry Austin to create that, because that is actually how well, and this is in the 70s, so it's not like there were high resolution uh pictures back then. So of course, Magneto is using some memory tape, and it's analog. It's not even digital. So um it says here, he's refining his plans to become master of the world. So, and then gets a picture of Magda. So these are memory tips. So it's kind of taking stuff that as he remembers. And says, Magda, but how? Oh, I see. The memory circuits have accidentally cross-connected. Magda, my late wife, I'd almost forgotten how beautiful you were. How deeply it hurt when you ran away from me. But that was long ago when I still believed I was only human. And you can see him erasing her. So, I'm older now and I've learned my lesson well. Soon all the world will tremble before my power. But Magneto isn't the only one with plans afoot this morning. So, it's kind of funny. Magneto will not show up again until issue 150. So, this is essentially 25 issues until Magneto appears again. Talk about Claremont and his famous subplots. 25 issues, because he doesn't appear again until X-Men 150, I believe. Maybe he appears a little bit before then, but it's after John Byrne leaves, because Dave Cockrum is the artist when Magneto shows up again. So, and so now we, of course, have a mastermind here. And we get all the different, how he's been, plotting to get Jean Grey here. And all his different things he's been, that priest, the young boy. And so, and of course, as Jason Wingard. And so he says here, though you've met me as Jason Wingard only once, you instinctively trust me. Soon that trust will turn into love, and as easily as I mold this mental image of you, from the day you first met the X-Men to your original Marvel girl garb, to your older, wiser Marvel girl, to Phoenix, and finally to the Black Queen, so shall I mold your Jean Grey until the day the Hellfire Club claims you for its own. So Byrne and Claremont have been playing this long game here. So Dark Phoenix Saga is going to come. Unfortunately, that will kind of spell the end of Byrne. Not quite, because of course we got Days of Future Past after that. But then John goes to a Fantastic Four, and Byrne goes. Dave Cockrum returns, but and I'm sure I'll get to my high horse at a later time when we eventually do get back to Cockrum. It does feel like a step down because I do believe John Byrne is a superior artist, and I thought Dave Cockrum was fine, but then once John Byrne comes, it just becomes a different thing. And going, it seems that when you go back to Dave Cockrum, it's taking a step back instead of taking a step forward. I don't believe that. I think Dave Cockrum had already peaked, and his style just didn't become as great. John Byrne continues to be incredible, even to this day. Um, his work is still superb. So it definitely, when Cochran comes back, it just doesn't hit the same. But I digress. We'll get there. So uh, Polaris calls Gene, hey Carrot Top, rise and shine. And she says, "Huh? Oh wow, I'm sorry, Lorna. My mind must have wandered. I'll say you went spacey right in the middle of a sentence. I was starting to get worried. You needn't have. I can take care of myself," she says. "I suppose I envy you and Alex. You're building a life that has nothing to do with the X-Men or your mutant powers," says Jean. "You can do the same, Jean, if you want to." "But I don't, Lorna. Not while I can do things like this." So, of course, she uses the Phoenix power as she twirls, and you see her outfits change, and Lorna claps there. So, we're now at Moira's office here. Real quick, look at the backgrounds. John Byrne, one of the things I can say about him is that man does not skimp on backgrounds. So, it's already morning here. So, Moira goes, "I've been at this all night. At least I'm fairly certain now why most of Jean's powers seem to vanish after a while. Some sort of instinctive psychic circuit breaker must have engaged, cutting Jean's power from its cosmic peak to something she could cope with. But the power still exists within her. Charles and I suspect that she had this kind of potential, but we never dreamed she'd achieve it. If she if she ever taps into it again, she could become something akin to a god. Wherever you are, Charles, I hope you're happy. But I also wish you were here because I need you badly." And so, um, we see here, we go back to the Shi'ar Empire, and um, how Lilandra, now that she's the Empress, they're not as together as they were, because she's busy. And when he tries to help, he says here he's gently rebuffed. So, and so he's thinking here, everyone here except Lilana treats me like some sort of village idiot, but perhaps by their standards I am. And he says, "The Omega file, please." "Events happened so quickly back on Earth that I never had a chance to debrief the X-Men after they saved Lilandra. She said that this tape contains the whole story." So, and so, it says here, setting himself in his hover chair, Xavier begins to read of how his X-Men fought to prevent the unleashing of a force known as the end of all is. That force was a neutron galaxy, and so, we covered that, of course. Virtually single-handed, Jean saved everything. My God. And then he screams, "My God." For all her natural ability, Jean is only human. I doubt even I could control such power. She could possibly. And then he realizes, I must return to Earth at once. And so, and I pray I'm not too late. And so we got Moira here. And again, I'm impressed by John Byrne. Goodness gracious. I just get giddy even thinking about where John Byrne's going to go. If you've I haven't covered any of his Fantastic Four. I have covered his I am actually covering his Wonder Woman run. I do have a playlist with that, which is from the mid '90s. It's just exquisite, and John Byrne's evolution as an artist is, he's great. He's one of the top 5 greatest comic book creators of all time. Debate your mom. I'm not gonna sit here and argue with you if you believe he's not a top five creator. John Byrne is a top five. I don't care who you have in your other four. John Byrne has to be in that top five. He is absolutely positively incredible, incredible. So, all right. So Moira's walking here. I've got to tell Jean the truth about what I know and what I fear. She's an intelligent woman. She'll face the future. The choices she makes have to make. The choices she may have to make. Better if she knows the real score. What's this underfoot? As she steps on something, it says skitch. So, and so she picks it up and it says, it's a gold tooth, but whose? An intruder? But how did he or she manage to lose a tooth? Unless I found it right in front of Mutant X's cell. No, that's impossible. That cell door reads uh the cell door reads sealed. The sensors register him inside. And so she uses her palm print. I better make certain. And she goes, no, oh no. So now we're outside here. And this is the not the Impossible Man. I'm sorry, the Multiple Man. Jamie Madras, who ends up in Peter David's run of X Factor here, and of course this is Havoc here. Morning, Jamie and Alex. It's back to the salt mines for me. See you at lunch. And the Multiple Man says, "Will you look at her, Alex? Not cold or anything. I'm wearing a parka. I'm freezing." And Havoc says, or thinks, she's showing off, using her telekinetic talent to manipulate her body metabolic levels and counteract the cold. She seems to be flaunting her powers more and more these days. That's not like Jean at all. So, and of course she can hear his thoughts. Alex should shield his thoughts better. That last one stood out like a sore thumb. He's right though, I am showing off, a little. And why not? In public, I'll conceal my abilities. But alone or among supposed friends, I'll dress and act as I darn well please. Oh, there's no need to make a federal case out of this. Alex is just concerned about. Hold it. Moira's thought patterns. They're chaotic, terrified. Something's wrong. I better get to her fast as Phoenix. And so, can't pick up any specific images from Moira, but things must be pretty hairy to bring her this close to panic. I've side-scanned the entire lab. So far, I can tell Moira and I are the only ones here. And so, you can see Phoenix race there. And suddenly, she's elsewhere. What has happened to me? The lab is gone. I'm in some kind of 18th century Regency mansion, and I'm different too. This is crazy. It can't be. And so, um, you can see here, because she's distracted, she's tackled. An ambush. Then that hallucination must have been some kind of diversion. Okay, Buster, you're about to get the surprise of your... And so she goes, life. They did a miscoloring right here, because should be yellow. At first, she's too stunned to react. Then, and you can see the scream. Alex, that scream. It's Jean, come on. And so it's raining back at the mansion. You see the Quinjet here. And the beast has returned. Looks bad. All the alarms set. Looks bad. All the alarms I set have been disconnected by an expert. And of course, you can see the eyes here. And he says, freeze, intruder. And he says, huh? And so they tussle. And so when the lights turn on, they recognize each other. And of course, they believed Hank and Jean to be dead, and he believed the X-Men to be dead. And Nightcrawler teleports, and of course, oh my stars and garters. That's one of his phrases. And he appears in the danger room. And he says, Cyclops, large as life, right before my eyes. And Colossus says, fought what, friend Kurt? And he says, a ghost. And so, Cyclops, it was the beast. Let's go. Whatever Kurt saw, it's an intruder. So let's not take any chances. Storm, come with me. Colossus, back me up. All right, no false moves or... Hank, is that really you? And he goes, Scotty, you're alive. This is fantastic, but how did you escape? Genie got me out, he says. And Cyclops goes, Jean's alive? And he says, you betcha, boss man. When Magneto's roof fell in, she formed a telekinetic force bubble around us and shot us up to the surface. We thought you were killed. Boy, is she gonna be surprised. And of course, I love how John Byrne puts Nightcrawler here. Of course, Wolverine's not here. So, and speaking of Wolverine, he ends up showing up here, and and B says, Scott, are you okay? And he thinks, I don't know anymore. Yeah, Hank, I'm fine. Of course, he was seeing Colleen Wing, I believe. So, Sean, is a blackbird ready to fly to Muir Isle? Anytime. All you have to do is say the word, and we're on our way. And B says, not without me, you're not. I wouldn't miss this reunion for the world. Look, I just want to return to Quinjet and let Jarvis know where I'm going. Wait for me, okay? He says, no problem. I'll call Moira and let her know we're coming. So he calls Muir Isle. And we got Havoc, Multiple Man, and Polaris here. Jamie, use your cloning powers to create a squad of duplicates or search with duplicates of yourself. With them, our search can cover the entire lab. Real quick, so in Peter David's first run of X Factor, Havoc is the leader of X Factor. In Peter David's second run of X Factor, Multiple Man is the leader of X Factor. So, Lorna hears the phone. Whoever it is, they'll have to wait. But that's our special transatlantic line. I'm gonna have to answer it. If it's Professor X or the Beast, and if things are as serious as Alex fears, we could use their help. So, Muir Isle Research Center, Lorna Day speaking. Lorna, it's Scott. Scott who? Scott, you're alive. Not just me, Lorna. All the X-Men are alive and well. Your voice sounds strained. Is anything the matter? I love Wolverine drinking the beer here. I'm not sure. Jean and Moira were in the lab. We heard a scream. Then the security alarms went off. Jamie Madrox and your brother Alex are in the lab checking it out. Look, how soon can you be here? Using the Blackbird, a couple hours. And you can see there's a figure right behind her. This may be a false alarm, Scott, but I'd feel a whole lot better. And we see, human, I need you. Scott, what is it, lad? You've gone pale as a sheet. It's Lorna. I heard her scream, and then the line went dead. How sharper than a serpent's tooth. So this concludes the main story. Of course, it's classic X-Men, so we do have a backup. And so John Bolton is still here as artist. He's got a couple more issues left in him. The Spigot at the End of the Universe. And so Xavier's playing like some kind of intergalactic chess. So like three-dimensional chess like they do in Big Bang Theory here. So and Professor Xavier, why don't you play a game with my little boy? And so I think not. I play alone, he says. Let's go, Skip. It's getting a bit chilly in here. How rude. He's just a human and a consort at that. And so Xavier says, I can't tolerate much more of this. Throne World has representatives from all the most advanced races, all of superior intelligence. To them, humans are placed at the low end of the intelligence scales. They don't even give us a chance, as he tosses the pieces. On Earth, I'm considered one of the most brilliant men on this planet, and I'm isolated by that brilliance. But here, I find myself considered the village idiot, and I am alone in that too. If it weren't enough, I am seen here as a mere plaything to the Empress. I'm humiliated. So here, Lilandra is with these bug creatures doing. She's not dressed very Empire-like, but they she's doing diplomatic stuff, and Xavier barges in and says, hello, council members. May I suggest that the race in question be left alone to sort out their own fats? And they all look at him like, what? And Lilandra says, "Excuse me for a moment. Charles, darling, perhaps you should leave the governing to me." And Xavier's like, "Everyone treats me like I'm an idiot around here. Perhaps, darling, it's because you're beginning to act like one." And he's like huffing. Lilandra, "Charles, listen. The races here on Throne World are the most enlightened in the universe, much more advanced than humans. But as a representative of the human race, shouldn't you be trying to show them and what is special and wonderful about humans? Loosen up. Try." So, after all, Lilander continues, "intelligence comes in strange forms." And here comes this mechanic, looks like it. She goes, "Hi, kids." And Lilander says, "Chakra, where are you off to? That darn spigot at the end of the desert's leaking again. I'm off to either fix it or wrestle it to death." "Darling, this is Chakra. She's the Throne World's plumber. She fixes things. Howdy. Hey, you wanna come along? Nice out there in the desert. Lonely, empty, woeful, nice. Go on, darling. It would be good for you. Trust me." And you can see Xavier's annoyed. So, gee, what a puss. "Hey, I know a great dirty joke. It's really sick. You'll love it." And Xavier says, "Don't you find it humiliating to be a plumber among such advanced races?" He says, "Ha ha ha, that's a hoot." And so he's hovering. And is she jumping? So, yep. And she says, those eggheads, if I didn't fix their plumbing, they'd be helpless. Look at all this space. I love emptiness. It's so much fun to fill." And she goes, "Ugh, running out of air. You you just need a little extra out here or your lungs collapse." "Oops, I forgot to fill the tank." "We'll have to turn back," says Xavier. "Look, a meteor shower." "Oh, they make me faint," she says, and um, Xavier's just so annoyed. "Come on, wait, Chakra, don't be foolish. We've got to go back." "Oh, I want to be right under that shower. Slap me if I pass." "We'll die. These showers are amazing. They make you tingle and rush, shudder all over." "No, we've got to do the smart thing. And you can see Puffin. "We have to turn back. There's my spigot. Ain't that a classic?" "No, we must. Oh, pooh. Shush and save air. Relax. Why don't you just look up?" "I don't want to look." And he sees the meteors going through, and suddenly he's like enchanted with it. And so he goes, "That was indescribable. Hey, neat. I forgot the spigot has an oxygen hose. Here, let me hook you up." And of course, he breathes. "Now, you must tell me, who are you? You're not just a plumber." And she goes to him, "Who are you? You're not just an empress consort. Why do you pretend to be stupid, acting like a common plumber when you're actually very wise?" And she says, "I am a plumber, and I'm proud of it. I'm essential. I fix the planet's inner workings. I fix the guts and of all things. I make it all flow right. Why is that so stupid? What is stupidity?" And so she smiles here. "Is stupidity wanting to see a star shower? Is intelligence knowing you're running out of air?" And so maybe intelligence is accepting what you are, whoever you are, with as much grace and bounce as possible. So Xavier's going back either. "Scamp, how about a game of chess? Do you want to play?" He says, "Sure." Perhaps there's more to this human race than we thought." "Yes." And Lilander goes, "Hello, may I interrupt you for a kiss?" And the lady hears, or the kid, "Of course. Darling, that girl. Who was that girl?" "Why, she's a plumber. She fixes things." And so she's right here. So beautiful. And of course, we get the back cover by John Bolton. So classic X-Men was no ads, cover to cover, between main story, backup story. the back cover, front cover, the original cover, and then that frontispiece. So there were no ads. So great cover here by John Bolton. So Classic X-Men number 31, Chris Claremont, John Byrne, and Nocenti, and John Bolton. Like and subscribe. I do thank you for listening. Goodbye.